Hey, it's Warren from Umpire-Empire. Today's quick tip is on selling your calls. Alrighty, before we get too far into today's quick tip, I want to ask you a question. You can think about it during the course of the presentation and we'll come back to it at the end. Also have a little story to tell you about. But the question is, what call should you never sell as an umpire? So think about that as we move forward. But let's talk about selling calls. Selling calls is very important for us as an umpire. It lets everybody know we got that call, we were on it, maybe it's a big call, the timing is really close on that call. We want to sell that call, emphasize it, but we don't want to emphasize calls when we don't need to. So it's a nice balance we have to maintain. The routine plays, we're going to make them routine. The big plays, that dive and catch, that maybe did it bounce and go in or did you catch it cleanly? We're going to come up and say, yes, that's a catch, that's a catch. Or maybe no catch, no catch. We've got to give a good, strong mechanic on that one. So let's talk about the factors that come into selling a call. Well, the first one is timing. You have to have great timing. You have to know what you saw. You have to be dead on correct. Timing has to be extra good on a call that you're going to sell. Why? Because you're going to have egg all over your face if you come up with a giant mechanic, loud vocal, and punches the person out, and you're wrong. That's not going to look good at all. So use your timing, be in proper position. Make sure you're where you're supposed to be so you can see everything that you need to see on that particular play. Second is the mechanic. You want to give a good, strong mechanic. Maybe it's just a routine strong mechanic, or maybe you're coming in with that big old punch out for the call. You want to have your mechanic match your vocal. If you come up with a really milquetoast type of safe call, but you're screaming the heck out of it, it doesn't match up. So you want your vocal and your mechanic to be in sync. The third thing, of course, is that vocal. You know, a lot of times our calls, we're not going to need to make any sort of vocal call. They call themselves. We're just going to give a physical mechanic if even. So you're going to raise your voice and your emphasis of the call as the play becomes more and more dramatic. It's a closer play, a bigger play. You're going to make your voice match the level of that particular play. So I want to talk about some things that people do to sell calls. Maybe I don't always agree with them. One mechanic I see a lot is the point call. They point at everything. It really doesn't need to be done that way. I use the point, but I think the point needs to be reserved. It's part of selling the call. A good example of a situation where you might want to use the point mechanic is the first baseman comes off the bag momentarily, but he gets back in time to get the out. You're going to come up, he got back on, and then come up with your call. That's a great example of when you would use the point mechanic. Or let's stay talking about the first baseman. The ball once again pulls the first baseman off. He has to come off the bag, but he's going down on a swipe tag on that person. On the tag, he's got him out using that type of mechanic. So if you're overusing it for absolutely every reason, every play, it doesn't work as well. So reserve your points for when you really need to do it. Let's talk about another way we can sell our calls, and it's oftentimes difficult in a two-man umpire system. We have a double play. Something screwy happened at the front end. And you come up with a safe call, let's say at the front end of the double play. You still have to get back and get your call on the back end to first base. So you get your safe call, you go back to first, you get your routine out call. Now you want to go back to that play at second. You know, over there we had him safe, he was off the bag, or something along those lines that you can make sure that you're re-emphasizing that call, because you don't have time to really sell the heck out of that and go into dramatics or anything like that, because you've got that call back on the first base side. So make sure you're using those calls effectively. Another place where we're going to use our voice more than mechanics are on strike calls. You know, that straight one straight down the pipe at the belt, we don't have to sell that call at all. That's a good old, just a routine strike call on that one. However, you get a good slider that catches the corner, a curveball, off speed, something that catches people off, and it's right there. You want to sell that as a strike. Give it, yep, that's there. I'm getting that for you. And reward that pitcher for that great pitch. Sell it a little bit more. Which brings me to my question from a little bit ago. What is the call an umpire should never sell? Well, the answer to that is a ball. We don't want to sell a ball call. And here's the story I have behind that. Many years ago, my first time working with a great umpire who's no longer with us, unfortunately, he passed away. I worked with him, and after the game, he was doing an evaluation. And after the game, he comes up to me and says, "Well, Warren, I noticed on these pitches you were a little extra vocal on your ball calls." And I would say, "Yeah, Bob. The situation is, those were close calls, but I wanted to let everybody know that I had it. Those were outside. I had it." And he says, "Well, maybe you should, if the ball is close enough that you think you need to be selling it as a ball, maybe you should be selling it as a strike." We need strikes. Strikes keep the game moving. Strikes keep people happy. Yes, batters don't like them, but they keep the game moving, and it helps out so much. So if there's that pitch that you have the feeling that, "Ooh, I should sell that as a ball," no, you should be coming up with a bigger, "Yeah, that's a strike." Come in and get that big strike call on that one, because that will make your game move on. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tip. Please subscribe, share the video, and join the discussion on Umpire-Empire.com, and we'll see you with our next quick tip.